Hello everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Thank you so much for waiting. Some of you came on at the normal time of 7 p.m. tonight, and of course I wasn't there because it's been such a busy old day today. I only got back into the studio about 40 minutes ago. I've been down in London today. So thank you so much for waiting to the 8 o'clock slot. I can see a number of you are here on the live stream already. Skip Vasquez, hello everyone. Hope you're well today. Yes, Skip, I hope everybody is well. We'll catch up with all the news with you guys. Kate says, hiya. I've just logged on too. And I think we may have got the wrong time tonight. Yeah, well, basically, I had it very short notice to go down to London, Kate. So, yeah, basically, we had a 3 o'clock meeting at St. Martin's Church, which I don't know if you recall was the church where I put the 9 new windows in last year. They were installed last May, and so I was showing some people around the windows today, 6 people who wanted to come down and have a look. So I met with the minister, Renos, and we showed everybody the windows, and it was it was just lovely to see them again. So we were there from sort of 3 o'clock. This is down in East Horsley, which is, if you know London area, it's down right down at the south, kind of Guildford way. So I was there till 4 o'clock this afternoon, and I came back as quick as I could. But the London traffic around the M25, I don't know what it's like in your part of the world, but the M25 is like a stationary car park most of the time. We're just crawling along. So I was looking at the time. So I thought earlier on yesterday, I thought the best thing to do is, because I'm going to London and coming back, I'm going to panic basically about getting back in time to start at 7 p.m. So I put the live stream back to 8. I put a little notice on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. But of course, that isn't seen by everybody. And people are busy. You know, you're not everybody's on social media, and you may just be tuning in thinking it's going to be at 7. So I do apologize if you've been hanging around. Hopefully you've had a chance to make a cup of tea, cup of coffee, maybe have a bite to eat. I can see Kate has had hopefully a little bit of lunch. Or afternoon tea. Hopefully you're back again, Kate. Skip says, hi. Yeah, thanks. I just saw that the time is listed as 8 p.m. UK time. It is, Skip. So we are now at 3 minutes past 8. So we're up and running today. Hello, Julie Gritton, another channel member along with Tegan and Skip. Tegan says, my understanding is that there isn't a US... Oh, sorry, Julie says, I have a question to everyone while we're waiting. Do any of you know where I can find Dove paints in the US? And also the copper stain. I always have a million questions. Yeah, that's a great question, Julie. And Tegan has come on and answered. Evening all, says Charlotte. Evening, Charlotte. Welcome aboard. Great to have you with us. Tegan says, my understanding is that there isn't a US distributor for Dove, but apparently the Rogue enamels that Glass Emotions in Canada sell are the same. I don't. Thanks very much for that, Tegan. I'm not familiar really with the American market at all. I did get in contact with Rogue Enamels, who are based in Canada, and asked them to, give me some more information. And at the moment, I'm still kind of waiting for clarification on that. But I think you're right, Tegan. I think the Rogue enamels are the Canadian version of Dove enamels. So that would be the route to go down, Julie, if you're looking to try and source Dove enamels. They're called, confusingly, just to confuse everyone, they're called Dove in the UK, and they're marketed as Dove enamels in Europe as well with Pele glass. But in the States and in Canada, they're known as Rogue enamels. So that's probably your best bet. It would be really interesting, Julie, if you can come back to us and tell me how you get on, what the marketplace looks like from when you're looking at it. Obviously, if you're doing a Google search for transparent glass enamels, hopefully Rogue enamels will come up. It would be really good if you could take a screenshot and maybe send that through to me so that I get an understanding of what it is my kind of American and Canadian colleagues are seeing, because I don't have access easily to do a Google search on the American side. When I do a Google search, I tend to get British and European replies. So yeah, it would be great just for my information as well to know what it is that you're seeing when you do a search for enamels stateside, you know, or in Canada, or in Latin America for that matter, or in Australia. We have our creative community all over the world. So if you guys are looking and trying to source transparent enamels in your part of the world, let me know what you're seeing. Let me know what your searches provide you with, because it does give me a better understanding, because I really am getting a snapshot of the world market just from here in the UK and what I can source and supply in the UK. I've discovered as I'm doing this online enamel course is that the supply chain, as I mentioned last week, is somewhat erratic and somewhat temperamental. Things come in and out of stock. The supply chain for paints, you know, your Bista Browns and your blacks and your yellow silver stains and the Reusch paints are much more stable. You can generally get those everywhere. Here in the UK, you can get enamels, the Debitus range of enamels from Creative Glass Guild down in Bristol. You can get them from Pearson's Glass and others. So do tell me, guys, what it looks like for you. What kind of market supply chain can you see where you are in the world? Because it really helps me. I'm trying to tailor my online course for as broad an audience as possible, understanding that my audience is going to get their materials in different parts of the world, and I have no control over what those supply chains are like. Let me just say hello to a few more people here. Julie says, thank you, Tegan. I will try to get some of those. That is the Rogue enamels. Do they have the copper stain that Derek was speaking of? Okay, Julie. So the copper stain, so far, I have only been able to source that from Debitus. Now, Debitus is stocked. You can actually buy directly from Debitus. They are a French company, and they have a website which is in English and in French. And I have ordered directly from Debitus in the past with great results. You can also buy copper stain from Pele Glass in the Netherlands. Now, these are the only two suppliers that I can see so far. I'm going to continue to do my research here in the UK to see if other suppliers will supply copper stain, but it's quite an exotic stain. It's unlike your yellows, your standard Reusch yellows and your oranges, which are, there's more of a kind of a demand and a regular supply chain for those. The copper stain is a really lovely stain, and I'm so pleased to have sort of started working with it and to be able to share it with you guys. But I think it's a smaller scale demand for that, so obviously you're going to have to source it from, at the moment, I can definitely say Pele Glass in the Netherlands, and Debitus directly from France. Jill Popple says, hi all. Hi Jill, welcome aboard. Great to have you here with us today. Janice says, hello, another channel member. Janice, hello, it's wonderful to have you here with us today. How are you doing? I hope you're well. I hear you had a birthday. You told me you had a birthday fairly recently. How did that go? How was your birthday celebrations? EFO, hello everybody, another channel member. EFO, wonderful to have you here today. EFO, welcome aboard. How are you doing? How are things with you? How's your day been? Thunderwood Underwood, hello here. Hi everyone, Thunderwood Underwood. It is great that you're here today as well. So glad that everybody is joining us for our live stream. Again, my apologies if you're arriving now, realizing that I'm an hour late. As I said at the beginning of the live stream, I had to disappear off to London today to show some people one of my projects. And I was in the middle of London, well, Guildford, 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I had to negotiate my way back. So I did put the live stream back an hour. Sarah Artglass says, I thought I was late at 7:30. So nice. A surprise for me to find I'm now early. Sarah, you are early, and you're bang on time now. So welcome to the live stream today. Do ask me questions. Everyone in the chat, if you have questions. I don't really have any lessons prepared tonight because it's been a busy old week and a busy old day. So I don't have anything prepared in terms of lessons. I did put a quick video together, which I'll show you on English Antique Glass. Now, English Antique have been a maker of sheet glass here in the UK, and they have been a supplier of English antique glass here in the UK for a number of years. So I've got an update for you, a little bit of news, because I did go to visit English Antique headquarters in Bristol last Wednesday, and I spoke with their operations director there to get an update on what's happening, and I've got a little video to show you, but we'll do that later on in the stream. Please do post your questions. This is just a chilling live stream tonight. As I say, no demonstrations. I've got a little bit of glass to show you in a minute from English Antique, which is chef's kiss, rather gorgeous, but we'll save that for a little bit later in the stream. I'm happy to have a chat with you guys just now. Anything troubling you, any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to answer your questions. We have a wonderfully creative community here. We have Kate as one of our moderators today, and we have Charlotte also, both fantastic glass artists in their own right, helping me to help you guys by answering questions. So please ask questions in the chat. This is what it's all about, for us to connect and make contact with one another. So yeah, let's see. Sarah says, I thought I was late. Thunderwood Underwood with a tiny premature baby as well. Thunderwood Underwood, you have a tiny premature baby as well? Is that you, Thunderwood Underwood? Or someone else on the chat who has that? Do enlighten me. Do let me know. Jenna says, copper and silver stain. Questions about copper and silver stain. Yes, well, yeah, I am discovering the joys of working with copper stain. It's really lovely, but it is particular to, there's a particular way of working with it, insofar as it really only works on the tin side of float glass, and it really only works when you're mixing it with a special blend. It's not really absolutely straightforward. There's deionized water basically is what you have to use, or purified water, rather than good old-fashioned tap water with fluoride in it. Nadia says, hi guys, another channel member. Nadia, hello. It's wonderful that you're joining us today. Fantastic that you could make it. Dean Broadit says, how do everyone? Hi Dean, great that you're with us. It's great that you're joining us. How's life with you? Give me your news. What have you been up to? Julie says, I searched and let everybody know what is. I search and let everybody know what is available here. I'd be happy to do that for you, Julie. Please, just while we're doing our chat today, if you've got a moment to do a search, and just come back to us and let us know what it looks like from your part of the world. What the supply chain is like in terms of getting hold of things like copper stain. That is, it's quite an exotic paint, or it's actually a stain. It's a copper sulfide rather than a silver nitrate or a silver chloride. It's a copper sulfide, which is quite an exotic paint type. So yeah, it might be challenging to get hold of, but it's well worth persevering. I'm sure you'll be able to locate it somewhere. Colors of Earth, says Janice. Colors of Earth, I'm not familiar with them. Can you give us a little bit more information? Janice, I bought transparent enamels from Colors of Earth in the US. That's interesting to know. Colors of Earth. I don't know, Kate or Charlotte, are you able to enlighten us on what Colors of Earth looks like from Google here in the UK? Do we have any information on Colors of Earth, whether they sell to the UK or European market, what their paints are like, what their stains, what their enamels are like? Either Kate or Charlotte, it would be great if you guys have a moment to do a little background research while we do our live stream today. That would be fabulous. Charlotte says, Derek, have you seen Cliff Oster's stain is now available in the UK? Yes, I have seen that. I have a little bit of it, and people who have it rave about it. Apparently, it is more potent and stronger than the Reusch silver stains, so you need a little less of it. And yeah, I've heard very good reports about it. I believe that Jonathan Cook is the distributor of Cliff Oster's yellow silver stain here in the UK. Jonathan Cook is available on Instagram. He is teaching glass painting classes. I think I saw today on Barley Studios, he was teaching a 3-day masterclass there. And as part of the subtext, it was saying that he is their distributor for oyster stains. So yes, I'm going to try it. I haven't really tried it yet, but I have a little sachet of it. Have you got some, Charlotte? Have you tried it? Do let me know if you've tried some. Where does Cliff Oyster Stain hail from? Stateside, as far as I know. Stateside Thunderwood Underwood, but we can get it here in the UK. But it is not something that I've seen a lot of, and it isn't something that I've used. You know, I haven't used all of the stains and paints available on the market, and that's one I've still to try. So if I get a moment, I might just do some experiments with the Cliff Oyster Stain and report back to you, Thunderwood Underwood. Thunderwood Underwood says, no, she's 23 now. Your little one is 23. Yeah, okay, fair enough. We were stuck in the M25 with her for 7 hours, though. Yeah, I know. The M25 is just a car park. I mean, honestly, it's just, I don't think anybody could pay me enough money to work in London. It's just too congested. I live out in the sticks, and we come back out to this beautiful idyllic landscape with rolling hills and the sheep in the fields. And when I go to London, it's usually to go and see a show, or to go and see an artist, or go and see an art gallery. And I'm really glad to get out of it. And driving around London is just is absolute nightmare. So yeah, the M25. I got back today about an hour ago now from the M25, and it was just awful. And Nadia says, what is the most rare glass paint? Great question. Nadia, it is a great question. Glass paints, I would say probably some of the reds made with gold, some of the transparent red enamels. I managed to buy a sort of a 0.5 kilogram worth of the Last of the Dove red enamel. It's not really 0.5 kilogram. I think it's probably 250 grams. I don't know exactly, but it was a reasonable sized pot, and it's not made anymore. So I would say, Nadia, at the moment, the cranberry red or the raspberry red transparent enamel made by the likes of Dove is probably the rarest glass paint, because it's not being made anymore. If you've got some, hold on to it. There's another red and magenta warm coloured paint by Alexander's Arcanum, who's a glass chemist here in the UK, in Stockbridge Way. He has been making glass paint, glass stains for a period of time, but again stopped also because he couldn't get hold of the raw materials. So that seems to be becoming the story that I hear time and time again, is that there was a big Italian supplier who was supplying a lot of the glass enamel powders and frits to a variety of different companies. They went out of business, basically. The Italian company went out of business and nobody bought them up. So there's a limited or finite stock of certain color types, principally the warm reds, which are made with gold pink. So yeah, Nadia, I think those are probably the most rare paints at the moment. Fortunately, Reusch are still prolific and producing lots of different paints and stains, and their paints and their painting and enamels as well. Now, I've tried a number of the Reusch enamels, and they're okay, but they're not my favorite, but some of them are okay. And I do on my online course recommend some Reusch enamels, particularly a carmine, which is a sort of a baby pink, like a bubblegum pink, which is a really nice color. Sarah Art Glass says, question, I did a workshop the other day and one participant was a vegan and wanted to know what they could use instead of the badger brush, which got me thinking about the ethics via tradition. Sarah, that's a great question. That's a great question. So yeah, I've had students who've come on my masterclasses in the past as well, who've asked questions about the supply chain of badger brushes. And actually I started to look into it because I was curious myself. I'd sort of taken it for granted that it was just a readily available. But actually, when you look into the supply chain for badger hair, it's mostly a supply chain for shaving brushes and that kind of thing, and makeup, sort of for using, with makeup. Those kind of soft bristles are used in those industries, but they're also used in painting and specialist paintbrush makers. And it seems that from the research that I was doing, that the supply chain's based in China, and there are badger farms, and there's a cruelty aspect of farming badgers for their fur or for their pelts, and a lot of people have ethical objections to that. So it does throw up the question, as you say, which is a great question, thinking about the ethics versus tradition. And it's a really good one, and it would be really good chat to have this conversation with you guys, because I'd like to get your opinion on it. What do you think? Do you think it's important to adhere to the traditional values and techniques of a methodology that goes back several hundred years? Basically, the painting techniques that we work with today are centuries old. The pigments are pretty much the same. The way it's fired onto the glass is pretty much the same. We have a bigger range of glass colors than they had in the medieval period. But the brushes that the medievalists used and even the Victorians used, they were not synthetic. They were natural animal hair brushes. So sable hair, ox hair, badger brush hair, squirrel. There's a variety of different animal hair types that have different characteristics. But what's your view on it, chat? Give me your view on it, because obviously if you are a vegan, you're not wanting to be buying animal products. The good news is there are vegan alternatives. And if you Google vegan brushes, you will find an array of vegan options at your disposal. Now, you could go down the synthetic route. So synthetic hair works extremely well for certain brushes. Certainly the applicator brushes, what we would normally call the hake brushes, which I think is goat hair, which is a long flat brush which is used for applying pigment onto the surface of the glass. An alternative to that is an applicator brush, which I recommend. You can buy them on Amazon. You buy them as a pack of 5, and they are synthetic hair. And I think it's probably some kind of a nylon or some kind of polymer of some sort. And it's great. There's no problems with using that. You get all the other ethical concerns about using plastics, because of the, plastics in the ocean and all those things. We're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't, unfortunately. But give me your take on it, chat. I'd love to hear from you. My take on it, for what it's worth, is I bought my best badger hair brushes, my large badger brushes, probably about 25 years ago. And I bought them once, and they've lasted for 25 years. So think of the carbon footprint of that is minimal. It's buying one product that was shipped to me, and then it has lasted me for 25 years. So the carbon footprint is really low. I'm only buying it once. It's not as if I'm destroying the livestock of badgers by using that one badger brush. And I think if you do buy natural animal hair products, buy good quality brushes, look after them, and they will last you your whole professional life. My take on it is that I like working with traditional badger brushes and sable hair and ox hair and squirrel and camel hair, although it's not made from real camels, but it's called camel hair, red sable. All of those natural fibers or natural bristles, animal hair products, have their own characteristics. I have tried synthetic badger hair brushes in the past, and they've been really pleased to find that they work really well. But the supplier who made those badger hair brushes stopped making them, or I couldn't find them anymore. So Tim Corey says, "Hi Tim, last week took a Wabi Sabi lead workshop and Michael said hi." Tim, that's wonderful. Tell me about the workshop. How was it? Michael's fantastic. I'm often in correspondence with him. Please say hi to Michael for me as well. How was the course? I see his course on Facebook and it looks wonderful. His leading is just top quality when I look at it. It looks absolutely fantastic. Skip says, my wholesaler in the USA carries the Thompson enamels. Not sure how they compare. Skip, that's great news. Thompson enamels. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not familiar with Thompson enamels. So I don't know anything about them. It would be really good to find out a little bit more. That's the first time I've heard of the term Thompson enamels. Jenna says, Paula McCoy. Charlotte says, Derek, have you seen the Cliff Oyster stain is now available in the UK? Yes, indeed. So let's just come down a little bit further. Charlotte says, Thunderwood, Underwood. Dean says, total empathize with that sentiment, Derek. Yeah, what sentiment? Tell me which bit of it you empathize with, Dean. I mean, if it is about either using artificial vegan brushes or using animal hair brushes, use what you are comfortable with. There are no rules regarding the brushes. You know, if you can find some vegan brushes that do the job and get you the results that you want, absolutely fantastic. Then no animals are harmed in the process, and you've got a brush that does the job for you. I tend to find that the animal hair ones just work for me, and as I say, I tend to buy them, the best quality ones, and then they last for decades. So it's kind of your decision and it's your call. Nadia says, thank you, that's what I thought. Timothy Swartridge says, Colours of Earth glass paints are sold in the UK by Warm Glass Bristol. Okay, Timothy, that is great to know. That's great to hear. I have looked at Warm Glass in Bristol, and what I could see was opaque enamels. I couldn't see, or maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough, transparent enamels. I don't know if anyone in chat can have a quick look at the Warm Glass website to confirm whether they actually are selling Colours of Earth transparent enamels. That's the key part. When it comes to enamels for stained glass work, we need to have transparent enamels. There are a plethora of enamels on the market that are used for metalwork, like jewelry, for copper enameling, and enamels on hot glass products. So, you know, the blown glass and the hot glass shapes take opalescent enamels, and there's a market for that, and it's a bigger market. The smaller, more specialized market is the market for enamels for stained glass, and that is transparency. We need transparency. So it would be really interesting, Dean, Timothy, if you can to let me know whether Colours of Earth, Warm Glass in Bristol sell transparent Colours of Earth enamels. That would be really interesting to find out. Thank you. That's what I thought, says Nadia. Tegan Lee says, Derek, I'm in the US, but an Australian, and can search on my phone as if I'm there. Aussie stockists of Reusch, Glass Paints, Oz, Hartley Williams, Chocadoo, and Australian Stained Glass Supplies. Okay, that's great to know, Tegan. So in Australia, the Aussie stockists seem to be there, which is great. Aussie stockists of Reusch, Glass Paints, Hartley Williams, Chocadoo, and Australian Stained Glass Supplies. That is great. So what is the supply like? Are you getting a reasonable range, Tegan? Can you see if there's a reasonable range there? What I might do after this live stream is finished is come back to our chat and just have a look at these names again and do a little bit of background research, because it's really helpful for me to know what the creative community are finding in terms of the supply chain for enamels. EFO says, I'm not keen on using them, but I play with glass as a hobby, so would be happy for a substitute. I did buy one that I got on your painting glass course, but I haven't. So I did buy one when I got your painting on glass course, but haven't done it yet. Excuse me. Okay. So I completely respect, EFO, your position on whether you're going to use animal hair or not. I am not going to tell anybody the ethics of what they should or should not buy. Buy what you're comfortable with, and if you can get the results. You know, sometimes I can get some great results with cheap and cheerful brushes that are almost like kids' throwaway brushes. I use cheap brushes sometimes when I'm painting with stains, because stains are actually quite coarse and corrosive to the ferrules of brushes. So I never paint stains with my best quality brushes. Excuse me. And sometimes I just break out some really cheap kids' brushes to paint on my stains with, and they actually end up being really good. Excuse me. Excuse me. I do apologize. So if you can find the right kind of brushes, that is absolutely great. Julie says, I'm coming up with only Pele glass for the copper stain, but they do ship internationally. Also Pele for the Dove enamel paints. Yeah, I found Pele to be a really comprehensive stockist, Julie. They have an amazing range, and I think because they're in Central Europe, they're in the Netherlands, they've got a tremendous sort of base, of all of Europe. So they've got the French studios, the German studios, all of the Brussels and Luxembourg studios, as well as here in the UK to supply to. So they're very well placed to stock lots of great enamels and paints and brushes as well. So definitely check out Pele Glass. The only downside I have in it is not a criticism of Pele Glass, but it is our political system now is importing. We've got now import taxes and duties to pay on things that used to not have import duties from Europe. So it makes it quite expensive to buy from Pele, but I do buy from them, and I would encourage you to also support them. If that's the only supply group that you can find for things like copper stain, the copper reds, then yeah, get some. You can buy relatively small quantities from at a time. And Pele glass are great. They're absolutely fantastic. Sarah says, thanks, Derek. Yes, I said it's not an environmentally friendly. It's not environmentally friendly in lots of ways, but that there are alternatives to find and explore. Yeah. I mean, it's so difficult because you can worry about so many aspects of using plastics, using non-recyclable components like bristles that are nylon or polymers or artificial non-biodegradable synthetic bristles. You can worry about that. Yeah, you can worry about buying cheap and then buying often, which means that the transportation costs and the carbon footprint is higher because you're constantly getting a supply chain of the same product and it's costing resources to do that. There's a whole lot of kind of like ethical and moral considerations to balance in your own mind, and everyone will come to their own conclusions on that. My feeling is, as I've said, buy what works for you. Charlotte says, I've looked at the colours of earth on warm glass. I don't think they are transparent. They are similar to the fauve enamels that Creative Glass sell, which are opaque but can be thinned down. Thanks, Charlotte, so much for doing that back at the fauve Dove. Sorry, you've reconnected yourself. Correct, typo. They're similar to the Dove enamels that Creative Glass sell, which are opaque but can be thinned down. Yeah, thanks for that, Charlotte. I do appreciate it so much. Yeah, Colours of Earth, I think when I looked on Warm, because I did a kind of like a recce of all of the kind of available suppliers here in the UK, and I did look at the Warm Glass website, but of course everybody's updating their website all the time, so they may be bringing out new ranges, and I do see new ranges of paints and stains and enamels that I've not heard of before. Degussa being one of them. Well, I have heard of Degussa. I don't actually have any Degussa enamels, but I'd be really keen to know, have you tried them? Chat. Anyone in chat tried Degussa? What are they like? I'm going to order some and try them as well. But yeah, transparency is a key part of that. So last week, keep asking your questions, by the way, chat. I'm happy to answer them for you. Last Wednesday, I went down to Oxford. And I went down to see English Antique Glass. Now, English Antique Glass have been making sheet glass here in the UK for a number of years, and then they stopped making sheet glass and moved their headquarters to Oxford. to a place called Whitley, just outside Oxford city centre, about sort of 10 minutes drive. So I went to visit them, and it was an interesting and slightly sad, if I'm honest, encounter, because, well, I'll play the video and tell you a little bit about it. So this is a little 4-minute video showing you so this is now the headquarters. This is English Antique Glass. So it was bought over by a company called Original BCT, who are light manufacturers, and they have a hot shop here where they're still making these roundels. As you can see here, it was a really hot day last Wednesday, so I had a little look in, and one of the glass blowers was working. He was rather busy doing some experimental pieces, didn't want to chat, quite understandable. He's a working man, so he allowed me just to take a few images here of him working with the glass, but I didn't really want to feature him too much because he's busy, and he's doing some experimental pieces. But basically, they are still making roundels, and they are still making slab glass, and they've got a really nice hot shop here, as you can see, with the hot ovens at play. A very hot environment to work in. I think it was probably about 28 degrees outside. And here is Hethy Bowles, who's the representative who I spoke to
show
today.
Me a little bit behind the scenes, and you've got a little bit of an update today on where we are with English Antique Glass, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So for a long time, English Antique Glass has been making the sheet glass, the very luxurious mouthbone glass in lots of different colours, from the English streakies to the flash pieces. Since we relocated a couple of years ago, we stopped producing and we're just selling the stock that we had. Now we've actually sold the rest of the collection, and so our focus going forward is on the roundels side and also the slab pieces.
Can we have a little look at some of the slab glass?
Yeah, absolutely. There's all sorts of pieces that you can see, so there's sort of...
Wow. So this is still being made, yes?
Yes, this is still being made. It's made here in Witney, Oxfordshire.
Oh, that's absolutely gorgeous.
And they're blown as a Norman slab box, and then we cut off the fronts to create these panes. They often have like a slightly thicker lens in the middle, which just gives it a really lovely appearance when looking through it.
And can customers buy directly from you, or do we need to go through suppliers?
So for the slabs, you can purchase them through us directly through our website, and the same with the roundels. With roundels, if you need bespoke colours, you'd have to get in touch.
Yes.
And we also do other bespoke work for blowing glass if required.
Fantastic.
They're all flame polished. They're quite nice and thin. They're flame polished, so they're completely smooth. Yeah. You've got the kind of the natural marks inside to make them look traditional and old. Yeah. So they really stand out as a beautifully handmade blown roundel.
Beautiful. Yeah, so it's rather, to be honest, it's rather sad to hear that the production of sheet glass has ended. Is it just sort of supply and demand, I suppose, the kind of the law of the jungle? If you can't find enough people to buy it, you stop making it?
Yeah, exactly. If there was a big enough market, we'd definitely still be producing it. The market has shrunk quite a lot over the last couple of years, and it's also incredibly expensive to make with the gas prices. It's a very heavy job for the glass blower. They're big sheets, so they blow these cylinders, which I'm not sure how much they weigh, but a lot. So it's hard work for the glass blower. It's quite expensive on the gas, and unfortunately the demand's just not quite there for the very expensive higher end glass.
Yeah, but just to get the message out there, you're still making roundels, you're still making slab glass.
Yes, absolutely.
Fabulous. Thanks so much for your time today.
No problem.
Hey guys, so hopefully you could see that okay. Oh, what's happened to my live stream? Sorry, back again. Hopefully you could get that little film. I just put that film together about 10 minutes or so before we did the live stream. Basically, it's rather sad in a way, because going down to see them, I was hoping to see, you know, racks of sheets of antique glass, handmade glass, and of course they have sold the last of their batch to another supplier who's yet to bring that to market, and so they have bought, I think, about the last 300 sheets or so, and they are then it's a supplier here in the UK. I'm not going to say who they are because they haven't yet kind of made their kind of presentation to everybody. Obviously they're going to start marketing it themselves, so really good to know that there's still going to be English antique sheet glass available here in the UK, but not now directly through English Antique Glass. The good news is they're still making slab glass and they're still making roundels, so you can contact them, as Hetty was saying, directly, and buy roundels. And they also make bespoke roundels, a little bit like Elliot. So what I found was, it was a little bit. It's a really strange time, chat, that we're in terms of the stained glass community, because there's good news stories and bad news stories. You know, the good news story is that Elliot is now making handmade antique glass again here in the UK, and his glass is outrageously good. It's gorgeous. Did you see the drop he did 2 or 3 nights ago on Instagram? I mean, it's all sold out. It all sold out. They're great pieces. I mean, they're just glorious pieces of glass. You know, they're looking at the price ranges of them. They're, you know, sort of 200, 250 pounds per sheet, something like that, 200 pounds. Some of them are slightly cheaper. There's pot metals, there's flash glasses, there's the most gorgeous streakies. So the fact that he's making again is a good news story. The bad news story is that English Antique Glass aren't making sheet glass anymore. And they've sold off the last of their range to another supplier who is going to sell it again in the UK, which is great. But it's a limited range of glass that's available now. You know, again, another bad news story was the closure of Sunderland hot glass center. You know, that is an ongoing saga where they're trying to get finance to kind of keep that center open. But yeah, we're going through a challenging time, and this is where I think being a creative in the middle of 2025, you know, is challenging, and there's no sugaring that pill, you know. And I think for all of us it is, and the cost of materials are going up all the time, so we have to be incredibly creative and resourceful in how we use our materials and how we design as well, so that we may be, you know, still using beautiful pieces of English antique glass, but then mixing it up with more cost-effective glasses. That's always been the way that I have worked, especially when I'm doing my larger projects. I've used Lambert's glass, I've used English antique glass, and I've used Polish antique glass, the Tatra range of glasses as well. You know, mixing and matching, trying to kind of blend them in a way that works, but is not going to break the bank in terms of material costs. So I think all of us are going to have to do a lot more of that. So let me just show you guys what I brought back from a meeting. It wasn't all bad news, because we got back some of these. Look at these. This is from English Antique Glass. Do you know what this is, chat? Do you know what this is? Any idea? This was going to be chucked in the bin, believe it or not. It's going to be chucked in the bin. What this is the top of a blown cylinder, a bubble that was blown into a stainless steel container to make slab glass. So slab glass, the molten glass, is blown into like a long bubblegum tube and blown directly into a container. So it's got 4 sides and a base, and it's made of stainless steel, and the hot glass is blown into that, and the top is broken off and it's sliced off, and this is the top here. Whoopsie-daisy. This is the top part of that, and that is the area here that goes into the cylinder. It goes into the slab. So this is a sort of the residue, and obviously it's cut off here, and this is kind of just scrap. So I got hold of this, which was wonderful, and another piece here, which is equally gorgeous. Look at this, chat. How beautiful is that? Again, another offcut or remnant from slab glass. So you can see it was blown into a square cylinder here. And this is the top section here that was broken off. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, it's a little bit sharp on the edges. And I'm not exactly sure what I can do with it, but it's a little piece of, British history. It's a little piece of English antique glass. And it's lovely I used to have what's called a muff years ago, which is a long cylinder that you break open to make into a flat glass sheet. And that went wonky somewhere along the line. It disappeared from my studio. I don't quite know what happened to it. But it was an amber streaky piece of cylinder glass. It was absolutely gorgeous. It disappeared. And again, these are pieces of sort of British history. So I've got one more muff to show you. Look at this, guys. Another one here. Again, this is the top of a piece of cylinder glass. So as you can imagine, this would have been a beautiful piece of sheet glass. Still gorgeous, but I suppose I could harness down. These are very sharp edges. I suppose I could file them down and maybe put a base on it, and then this could be a bowl. This could be used as a fruit bowl, I imagine, with a little bit of softening of the edges so nobody cuts themselves. Again, another little bit of history. So we got 2 or 3 of these ends, muff ends, I suppose you call them, which I might do something with them one day. Aren't they gorgeous? So yeah, please support English Antique Glass, who are down in Whitney, in just outside Oxford. Hetty Bowles was the operational logistics manager. She was fantastic, so helpful, and so kind to give us her time. We kind of just arrived unannounced, and she was able to show us around and show us into the hot shop where the glass was being blown, and was very helpful. So I really wish them well. They're still doing, slab glass, making the most incredible slab glass and the most incredible roundel. So support them, follow them, and give them your support as a creative community, because they need you. They need us. They need us creatively. Got your text there, Charlotte. So yeah, do support them. Please support our makers, because it's a symbiotic relationship we have with our makers. Whether it's the glass makers, or whether it is our paint makers, or our brush makers, or our lead makers, or our solder makers. They need us. They need our custom, and we need them to be there. Traditionally, stained glass craftsmen and women haven't really blown the glass themselves. They've always bought the glass. They've always had the glass made by glass makers. The sheet glass has been made for the stained glass profession, and then the stained glass profession has bought it and used it. And that goes back centuries. I spent some time with Jasmine Allen, Dr. Jasmine Allen at Ely Stained Glass Museum recently, making a video on the history of enamels, which is going to be part of the online course. It's the story of enamels. It's really interesting, where Dr. Jasmine Allen goes through the whole history of what preceded enamels and why enamels came to be, what were the problems that the medieval craftsmen needed to solve and how they solved them creatively. The outcome is enamels, and so we go into a lot of detail, and she gets a lot of sample panels that are in the private collection that are not really seen by the public. So she very kindly brought those out, and we poured over those and we discussed them in detail to give you a backstory for the story of enamels, and that's part of the online course. And I don't think I'm going to make that particular video public for a while, because it's really like a benefit of the course, and there are other videos there that are really for the course. So if you're going to pay for the course, you get more kind of information about enamels. I'm just going to try and pack as much kind of high value into the course as I possibly can. But one of the things that I learned, and I hadn't really thought about it, was that even medieval craftsmen didn't make their own sheet glass. They were buying in the sheet glass, and that that became a problem when glass became expensive. I mean, we think of glass as being expensive today. This isn't the first time that's happened. It's happened centuries ago. You know, it happened in the 1500s, you know, where glass became very, very expensive. And there was a creative solution to that, which was enamels. Enamels was the creative solution to a problem. And I think today, in the 21st century, you know, glass is expensive again, lo and behold. So again, we, the creative community, need to be creative in how we overcome those handicaps. Stained glass will not stop being made and stop being created. It's just how we do it. We've got to be more inventive and creative in the way we do it. So yeah, all really exciting and interesting stuff. So, Kate says, I'm stroking my piece of rainbow 40 Norman slab. Spotty, I should say. Is it spotty? Rainbow spotty Norman slab as I watch this. It's a gorgeous piece that Charlotte Saville bought me. Yes. Did you get some Norman slab, Kate? I was looking at this Norman slab. I didn't buy any, but it's gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Sort of, yeah. It's. I mean, the trouble is when you buy good quality glass, you don't want to cut it up, do you? You don't actually want to use it. You just want to look at it. You know, and I do have glass that I've kept for years because I just can't bear to cut it up. And that might be the case with Elliot's glass that I bought 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's so beautiful. I think I might just frame it rather than cut it up. So, Charlotte says, yeah, I bought Kate a piece of English antiques. So sad and quite shocking they've stopped producing. Yeah, it is shocking, isn't it, Charlotte? I was shocked. I mean, I fully expected to go down there and see, you know, racks of glass. And I don't think they've really made it tremendously public knowledge. You know, it's kind of not really out there. But when I was talking to Hetty, I said, look, are you happy for me to put this out there that you're stopped making it and you don't actually have it anymore? And she said, yeah. You know, but the good news is it's been, you know, what we did have has been sold to somebody else and it's going to be made available in the market again. So all is not lost, but it was sad. I do agree with you. Kate says, so what she's saying is if we buy more sheets, they'll make it. Charlotte, we need to order lots for the greater good. Yeah, Kate, you're right. I mean, they will make bespoke glass. You're right. That was the information I got from Hetty, is that they still make bespoke glass. And I'm thinking of like maybe some bespoke roundels. You know, look at this. Imagine this made as a spun roundel. How glorious would that be? Excuse me. That would be absolutely glorious. So yeah, they do, and I would, you know, support them. So yeah, chivvy together, guys, and buy some glass from English Antique. Absolutely. Derek's trumpet, says Charlotte. Yeah, it could be made into a glass trumpet. Vicky Graham says, hello all. I'm catching up on double speed. Hi, Vicky, another channel member. Great to have you on board today. Tegan says, that's stunning. They should sell them to fusers. Yeah, I know. They've got, I mean, basically they had like shelves of this stuff here. And I don't know, you know, Hetty said, yeah, it's going to land up in the skip. So I was, yeah. Yeah, draw your own conclusions. I mean, if you can get down there, you might be able to get hold of some. But yeah, some beautiful ends of the muff or whatever. It's a very strange phrase to use, but anyway, you know what I mean. You can get these ends, these cylinder ends, from them directly if you go and visit their showroom. I would make an appointment to do so. I wouldn't just do a cold call as I did. I'd go and make an appointment with Hetty. She's wonderful. She's very professional and fantastic, very helpful as well. So I'm sure she'd be delighted to welcome you and show you around their collections. So Kate says, is that the top to mine? It may well be, Kate. It may well be the top to yours. Yours is this lovely sort of spotty glass. It's absolutely glorious. Tegan says, Fremont antique sell cones end pieces by the box, but they aren't whole like those ones. They're broken into pieces. Yeah. So I know Fremont Glass do them. They sell them by weight, and Elliott Walker is also selling remnants by weight. So it may be an idea that English Antique do the same thing, to break them down and to sell them by weight. That then you can put the fragments which will be bent and curved into your kilns, and get them up to sort of 800, 700 degrees, 690 degrees. Allow them to flatten out in your kiln. Then you've got some lovely pieces of antique glass. Some of them are thick. That's the only problem. I mean, look at the... Can you see the thickness of that? That is mighty thick glass. It goes down to sort of thinner glass here, but it's pretty mighty thick. So I think even if you did break it into sections, they're going to be pretty thick, slabby pieces of glass to work with. Charlotte says, I can't believe they've been throwing them away. Could be a candlestick. Yeah. So they're not, at the moment, they're not throwing them away, Charlotte. They're storing them. But Hetty said, yeah, they're going to be scrapped. So, yeah. Maybe get in contact with them. It's beautiful glass. No doubt it's beautiful glass. Nadia says, wow, this blue is fabulous. Yeah, it is, Nadia. It is absolutely glorious. Thunderwood Underwood. Beautiful waste products, though it seems wrong to call them that. Yeah. I don't think of them as waste products, Thunderwood Underwood. I think of them as beautiful artifacts, beautiful creations. And I'll find some way of using them, but they are absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I just, if you're in love with glass, you're in love with glass. What can I say? Dean says you could turn it into a lampshade. You could actually, Dean, I don't think it would be too much of a stretch to say that you could turn them into a lampshade. They're pretty heavy. You need a good base for it, but they're pretty weighty. It was interesting when Hetty was talking about these stresses and strains for the glass blowers, for blowing cylinder glass. I don't think unless you've held a big glass kind of cylinder on the end of a long blowing rod, how heavy it must be. And the physical exertion of working in a hot shop like that and swinging this really heavy glass around. I remember Elliot was saying when he was working at Fremont Glass that at the end of the day his arms were aching, and he's a very experienced glass blower, very used to it, but he was saying his arms were aching because of the weight of it all. So yeah, there is a kind of a strength issue that you need in order to make sheet glass in that traditional way. Tegan Lee says, I think Colorado Glassworks are now selling table lamps made from Monarch cone ends. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, Tegan. If anybody can find a photograph of that, it would always be interesting to see. But yeah, they kind of would suit the idea definitely of either a bowl or a table lamp, something like that, or be broken down and kind of reused in another way. Julie says, that's so true, Derek. Skip says, none of those cut-offs should go in the bin. They should bust up those top parts and sell them by weight. There's a market for it. I have a side business doing just that. Yeah, Skip, I think that message is coming across loud and clear that these are still usable pieces of glass. Definitely usable pieces of glass. Gorgeous to look at, but yeah, they can be broken down. I mean, even if you're going to make glass frit from it, you can get these glass pistons where you put glass into kind of a piston and crush it down. There's a chamber with a piston head that comes down, and you can crush glass down to make coarse frit. Even if you didn't want to use the glass in its solid form, you could crush it down and reuse it that way. There's some gorgeous colors in there. So yes, Skip, you're absolutely right. And none of those offcuts should go into the bin. Sarah Art and Glass says, I have a piece of that pink slab. I painted on it, but didn't risk firing it, so it's just propped up in my window. But maybe I'll plate it with clear to get the effects I'm after. Yeah, I know what you mean, Sarah. The thickness and thinness of this glass worries me in terms of its annealing properties. I think you have to fire it with great care and treat it much more. If you're a fuser, if you're a glass fuser, if you do slumping, you'll know that you go up in stages and you come down in stages, and it's a sequence. It's quite a scientific process. sequencing the stages of temperature rise and temperature annealing and temperature fall. And I think you'd have to do that with this glass as well. I would be very cautious about painting and firing slab glass for that reason. But as you say, you could double plate it. You could put another piece of glass in front of it, which has painted details on it, and still get some brilliant results. The thing about the slab glass is it's quite uneven because it's blown by hand into a stainless steel cube. It has a slightly lens shape to it, so it's quite erratic and irregular, and even the flat side is slightly irregular, so double plating it is going to still be slightly challenging, but not undoable. And you know what I'm like, I'm definitely one for experimenting. So experiment with your slab glass and see what results you can get. EFO says, what's the address? You can find them online, EFO. If you just, I mean, they're all over social media. They're posting regularly now on Facebook and Instagram, holding up these beautiful examples of roundels, and get in contact with them through their proper channels, which will be their main kind of social media channels of Facebook and Instagram. And by all means, say that you've seen in the live stream that there are these beautiful things. Are they still available? I can't speak for the company, and I'm not speaking on their behalf at all. I'm simply saying what I found, showing you what I found and how beautiful it is. But do make your own inquiries, and you may well find that you can get hold of some of these pieces yourself. But again, make your own inquiries yourself. Timothy says English antique glass is being sold by Creative Glass Guild as shown on the internet. Yeah, thank you, Timothy. I wasn't quite sure if that had gone live yet or not, but yeah. Creative Glass, according to Hetty, bought the remaining stocks, and so they're now selling it. So I've got a lot of time for Creative Glass Guild. I think they're very savvy. I think they're great at e-commerce, and they're very good at kind of marketing and selling the product. And their turnaround in customer service is second to none. They're excellent. I mean, literally almost as soon as an order comes in, it's getting shipped out the door to the customer. They're super efficient. So they're a good company. The glass is in safe hands, chat. It's in safe hands with Creative Glass Guild. So they'll be able to supply you with English antique sheet glass for as long as they can, as long as stocks last. So get in contact with them. Timothy, thank you so much for shouting that out and letting me know. I've been away out on the road in the last couple of days or so, and I haven't really checked in to do my background research on doing this live stream tonight. Literally, I arrived back home from London and just thought, what can I show you guys? And I thought, this is what I'm going to show you. And I put that little video together with Hetty just to kind of give you a little bit background information. So Rachel Atkinson says, their website says the mouth-blown flat glass stained glass has been sold to Creative Glass Guild in Bristol. Yeah, that's great. When I talked last Wednesday, it hadn't gone live. Hetty said, we haven't made it public information yet. That's why I sat on the video for a little while. I didn't really do anything with it because I thought, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I don't want to, start saying that Creative Glass Guild are selling the glass before they were ready to tell the world. But obviously that's out there in the public domain. So please support Creative Glass Guild as well. They're a wonderful company. They work really hard. They do some great things with their online, with their courses, their in-person courses, and they're a great stockist of debitus paints and stains and enamels. So they're a great group to be in contact with, as is Pearson's Glass, as is all of the other glass suppliers here in Europe and in the UK. So do support them, guys. So it's now 9 o'clock. Do we have any more questions in the chat? I'll hang around for another couple of minutes if you guys have any more questions. It's been a busy old time for me. I'm still working through my online enamel painting course, filming that as I go, and trying to give as much value as I can for you guys. Really excited to share it with you. But of course, the very nature of doing something handmade like this is that you have to set up for each demonstration. You have to paint it, then you have to fire it in the kiln. And sometimes these things take multiple firings. So even to do one lesson, which lasts for 10 minutes, that might be 2 or 3 days worth of filming to get to it. So the progression to do each lesson does take time. So bear with me. The online course is on its way. but I'm in the middle of doing that just now. So guys, look, I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. It's been wonderful to catch up with you. Thank you for bearing with me. Can I just ask you one last thing in chat? Timothy, I think it was last week, said, can you turn the music down or off? What's the view on music? There's usually sort of guitar playing in the background. Turn that off, leave it on, turn it up, turn it down. What's your view on it, chat? I'll be guided by you, because I don't want to put music on if it's going to irritate people. But also sometimes it's nice to have something in the background as well, especially if I'm doing demonstrations, like I'm painting, for example. I'll be painting in stony silence if there's no kind of background music. So when the live stream started, I decided to put a background track of guitar music on there to fill in for any times when I'm maybe doing demonstrations in silence, so that you've got something to listen to. But let me know, chat, and music on, music off, what's the preference? Okay guys, I think we're probably going to wrap it up today. It's now 9:05. Any more questions in chat? I'll stay on for another couple of minutes. I hope you guys are well. I hope I've answered all of your questions. Let me just see if I've missed anybody here. Thank you so much to all of my channel members who have joined the stream. Skip, Tegan, Julie, Janice, EFO, Nadia, yeah, wonderful guys. Thank you so much for joining the live stream, especially channel members. But if you're not a channel member, it is wonderful that you're also a part of the live stream. This is the creative community that we're setting up together. Tegan says, the volume of the music today is fine, but no music would definitely be better than music that's too loud. Okay, that's good to know. So the volume, let me just check what the volume, yeah, the volume is lower today than it has been. Thank you for that feedback. Julie says, I like the soft music. Okay, that's great. Nadia says, the music does not bother me at all. It's pleasant to have it the way it is. Thunderwood Underwood says, so long as I can hear you, okay, soft music is preferable. EFO, it's okay tonight, but sometimes it's a bit loud. Yeah. Yeah, I think we've landed on a level, I think, that is good. If it's good for you guys, it's good for me. I can still play it at, let me hear in the headphones. Yeah, I can hear what I'm saying, and the music is sort of there in the background. So I'll keep it, I can see the level on my monitors at the level here, so I'll keep it at that level, guys. And we'll run with this music for the time being, because the general consensus of opinion seems to be, I like the soft music, the music is fine as long as the volume's okay. The soft music today seems fine. Brilliant. Okay guys, thank you so much for your feedback, and thank you for joining me on the live stream. Please tell your friends that we are here every Tuesday, usually at 7 p.m. I think it's going to be 7 p.m. next week. We're here to kind of celebrate this wonderful creative community together. Thank you to Charlotte, and thank you to Kate for your extra moderation skills tonight. Very much appreciated having you on board. Thank you so much. How was dinner, Kate? I hope you had a bit of bite to eat, because you've been busy. You're busy bee. You're busy a lot of the time. And Charlotte as well. I'm loving all your posts. You're seeing all these beautiful posts that you're doing just now. How's it going with your stocks at the Stained Glass Museum over in Ely? They're now stocking your products, which is wonderful. Guys, have a great day. Dean says, I can't hear any music at all. Okay, no problem. Some people can hear it, Dean. If you can't hear it, I won't change it. I'll just keep it as it is. Okay, my wonderful creative community, I love you guys. I will talk to you next Tuesday. Take care. Bye for now.